Greetings, this is the Instrument Sidekick video for all the instruments on a page called A Little Easier. We should all be at this page called A Little Easier, alright? It'll be different page numbers for each instrument, alright? And I'm going to go over the stuff that is connected to all the instruments here first at the beginning, and then at the later part of the video, I'll go through and play the whole page on each of the instruments so you can mark down the time if you need to go back and listen to it or play along with. But first, there is a lot of common information. First, last page we learned about eighth notes, how it was a black circle and a stem and with beams connecting them in pairs, okay? This page, we're going to start talking about quarter notes, all right? Quarter notes are black stem with a circle, no beam, okay? In general music classes, you probably nickname them ta, okay? So you have ta and tt. So tts fit with the beat going tt, 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 tt. Tas just are one per beat. Ta, 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 ta. So you can think of them that way, but that time signature is still very important to us, so still counting in your head should be the proper thing. So you should be tapping the ground and counting 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Still 4 beats per measure. Always a bar line in between the measures. So that's how you know you got to go back to your opening count. And if you counted to 5 or only to 3 before you got to the bar line, something happened there, and you got to try and fix that. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you're tapping the ground. If you're one of the wind instruments, when you're tapping the ground on every quarter note, okay, while you think the number, okay? So it's tap, 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 ta, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So quarter notes, much, much easier. Once you learn quarter notes, you might want to go back and do eighth notes again and make sure you didn't lose that skill. Because remember, with eighth notes, you needed to be going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, t, 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 t. Once you've done quarter notes and every one of them has been where you're tonguing or hitting whatever on the beat, ta, 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 you got to be careful not to turn your eighth notes into t, 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 because that's not eighth notes. Eighth notes are 2 per beat. So your foot represents a beat, so you got to still get 2 for every one beat. T, 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 t. So make sure your eighth notes still say the same. Then we go into our foot stomping test. Obviously, you're not supposed to be stomping your foot. Obviously, that's a joke, all right? You're tapping your foot, lightly tapping the ground. You're not stomping the ground. No, that would not sound good to the audience if all the students on a stage were all stomping the stage really, really hard. Don't do that. No, that's the whole point. That's being sarcastic, all right? So no, foot stomping test. No, it's you're tapping, okay? So, first exercise, we have a quarter note. Remember, that gets a number, but no and, no second thing. So just 1 or a ta. Second beat, we have a pair of eighth notes. So that is a 2 and or a tt, because we have 1 already. Then the next note's 2 and. Then we have a quarter note. So that gets the next number, 3. So the quarter notes are always going to be a number, 3. All right, without an and. And then the next thing's a pair of eighth notes. So the next number, 4, with an and, 4 and, or tt. Then we have a bar line, we go back to 1. So we have, you can either think of it as ta, tt, ta, tt, or 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. What I really want you to be thinking is that, though. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Never tapping the and. Whenever you have the pair of eighth notes, don't tap the ground on that and. So don't go 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. No, it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Never 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. No, no, no. Ta, ti, ta, ti, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and down, down, up, down, up, down. I either get that or I get students tapping the ground on the first note and then thinking that every other note, whether it's a quarter note or eighth note, needs to switch between up and down. So they'll go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. No, 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 no. So they'll go ta, ta, Ti-ti-ta, ti-ti-ta. No, 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 no. This is the beat. It's a steady pulse. You need to be tapping the ground continually, counting to 4 every foot tap. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every once in a while, you have an eighth note where there's an and on the upbeat. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. And still only 4 foot taps per measure. All right. So if you end up with less or more foot taps in that measure before that bar line, you're getting confused with something, and it might help if I see you in a meeting of some kind to help you through that. This is really hard for a lot of people. All right. So that's exercise 1, and it's going to stay the same note all the way across. Exercise 2, still going to be the same note all the way across. But for trombones and baritones, you'll have a different note that's all the way across, but it'll be still the same note all the way across. All right. So now we started with eighth notes. So you have ti-ti, ta, ti-ti, ta. Number 1 was ta, ti-ti, ta, ti-ti. Number 2 is ti-ti, ta, ti-ti, ta. You should count it in your head, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, fitting with that ti-ti, ta pattern. So you have ti-ti, ta, ti-ti, ta. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Tap your foot on the beat, okay? Then, number 3, we have a pair of eighth notes and another pair of eighth notes. Remember, they can be connected all the way across, okay? They can be all connected all the way through to the bar line. They can. They won't be connected through the bar line. That's where the exception would be. But you can have pairs of eighth notes connected as long as it's a pair. So you can have 2, 4, 6, or 8 eighth notes in that measure, all paired under the same one beam that connects them. So we have ti-ti, ti-ti, ta, ta. So you have ti-ti, ti-ti, ta, ta. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay? So all the way across. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Ti-ti, ti-ti, ta, ta. Not beat and all the numbers. Ta, ti, 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 ta, ta. All right? So that's all of them. They have to be done properly with your foot. I will be checking that for everybody, okay? This is not easy, okay? The exception is percussion. I will be checking them they have to count out loud. All the wind instruments can't count out loud because you have an instrument that you're blowing. So you tap the ground, and the percussion counts out loud. They can't be tapping the ground because they're standing up, okay? So all the instruments, let's give a quick example of what all the instruments will be like. So let's see if I can't get things in a way where you can see my foot taps. All right. Here we go. Okay. So here we go. We're going to start with flutes. Flutes, write down this time if you need to come back to this time. All right. You're on the 4th line up. All the notes in the whole page of the 4th line up. Every good boy deserves. So it's all those. So I'm going to play through the quarter note exercise, then exercise 1 and 2 and 3 of the foot stomping test. Okay? So, exercise 1, the quarter note exercise. Number 1, exercise foot stomp test number 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. All right, that is the flute. Now, clarinet, mark this time. So you can come back to this spot. So you have all the notes on the bottom line of the staff. The bottom line is E for every. All right. So same thing. all on an E, this whole page, quarter notes. Now exercise 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. Alright, so that's the clarinet parts. Then saxophones, mark this time. Saxophones, you, just like the flutes, on the fourth line up, so you're playing D the entire time. Alright, so all the saxophones have a D this whole page. Alright, so quarter notes. Exercise 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. Okay, so that is the saxophone part. All right, next, trumpets. Trumpets, you will want to mark where you are in this video. Trumpets, just like the clarinets, bottom line. So you're an E the entire page. So trumpets will sound like this, quarter notes. Exercise 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. Alright, so that is trumpets. Now, French horn. French horn, just like the trumpets and the clarinets, you are an E the entire time. So French horns, your quarter note exercise. Then exercise 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. Alright, then trombones, you and baritones have different notes in your pages. So trombone, mark there, you're on this page. Top exercise, the quarter notes is the fourth line up. And a bass clef, that means great big dragons fly. So that's an F. You are not allowed to write that that's an F. You have to review the page if you need to remember the phrasal lines and the spaces. Here we have a key signature. Trombones and baritones. Key signature means the flats are put in the front of the staff. Okay, so now they don't have to put the flats in here. So this is the third space up. All cows eat. But E is still flat, even though we didn't write a flat in the measure, because there's a key signature. So you got to memorize key signature. That's a new term for trombones and baritones on this page. So you have E flats in exercise 1. Exercise 2, third line up, great big dragons, so that's a D. And exercise 3, second space up, all cows. Now notice, even though there weren't any E flats or B flats in either of these lines, that we still had the key signature there. That can happen. Just because there's a key signature there doesn't mean that there's going to be any of the flat notes. But if you come across the notes like E, those flats can be in front, the B and the E. All right. So you have Fs for the quarter note exercise. Exercise 1 is E flat. Exercise 2 is D. And exercise 3 is all Cs. All right. So that's true for trombones and baritones. All right. So for trombones, here we go. This is the quarter note exercise. Exercise 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. Baritones, I'm going to assume you just paid attention to what I told the trombones. So if you have to go back to the trombone thing to review the names of the notes, do so. But for now, baritone, quarter notes. Exercise 1. Exercise 2. And exercise 3. Alright. And then lastly, percussion. For you guys, you have to do all this on the bells. All the notes are the fourth line up. So every good burger deserves D. So all the notes are Ds. But you, unlike the others, have to actually count out loud. So here we go. Bells, all on Ds. Quarter note exercise. You count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I hit all those on the low D. That was my mistake. That should have been up on this high D. Okay? So I'm going to do the rest of the exercise on the correct D. Okay? Because you'll notice it's the D that's way up here. So it's the high D. So exercise 1 goes 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Exercise 2, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 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 and exercise 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so that's everyone's exercises. Whee! Lots of fun. All right. Now you can go through this whole video and play along, not just with the section that fits your instrument. You can still do all the same, because you see everyone's exercises are still quarter notes, and then ta ti ti, and then ti ti ta, and then ti 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 ta ta, and you can go through each of the exercises still up from your page over and over with what the other instruments sound like, so you're playing with other instruments. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, but make sure if you're bells that you're counting out loud, and then everyone else that you're counting in your head with the numbers you heard me counting out loud for the bells, and you're tapping the ground properly. quarter notes all hitting the ground, ta, 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 ta. And all the eighth notes always having a note that's up where you're thinking and. T, 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 T. All right? Very, very difficult and challenging for a lot of people. Some people are natural at this. Other people, this is a huge spot to like get used to doing the foot tapping. And you do have to do the foot tapping or the counting out loud of your bells. You have to. So it's worth the time. Remember, you can't write down and label what all the notes are. It's the same note all the way across the line. Even trombones and baritones, even though each line was a different note, it's still the same note across the line. You don't need to label it. Use what your phrases are to try and help you remember it. That's part of what you're learning on this page. Okay? So practice. Play along with those sections. Go ahead and, right from the flute thing, play your instrument with the flute, the clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, French horn, trombone, baritone, and bells. Go through all of them and have fun playing along. All right? May the force be with you.